Greetings brothers and welcome to another video. And for today's video, we are going to talk about how Warhammer 40k fans ruined 40k. Now, this is the shocker of 99.9999999% of no one, but let me cook, because I'm not just talking about the new fans. Oh, no. I am also going to talk about the old fans as well, with a good reason as to why. Fans clinging to Warhammer 40k. And yes, this is one of the main reasons that relates with fans' responsibility of the downfall of 40k, because it gives many reasons to what 40k is right now. But, of course, before we get into that,
You can't escape me!
welcome to the ad, and here are my platforms you can support me in. In return, your name shall be in the Hall of Fame of the Hoplitaz Legion. Also, if you haven't already, there's a button called a subscribe button, where you can get updates of my content and posts so you don't miss out. And finally, you can always join into my Discord to be part of the Hoplitaz Legion community. Thank you so much for watching this video, even you skipped it, you fucking heretic. And now, let's get back to the video. So, fans, or more like 40k fans, the bottomless of the void pit that is worst of the worst since they are unable to read 5th grade levels and call 10th edition the best that it's ever been.
Oh wait, I can't read.
Excusing every possible way to not go for any other alternatives, or their wallets have a breather for once and finally be full. They try so hard to cling on 40k as this is the only option they have, or else they'll become nothing. Or in other words, it's called parasocial identity. 40k fans, if not mentally ill enough, they latch to 40k as their personality, so any other genuine criticism against 40k will be more of a personal attack to the fan itself, and that is the 40k fan. Of course, in today's age, most people will argue more emotionally than genuinely argue, since there are more emotional bitches than to logically think. And what I mean logically think is to critically think. But then again, I wouldn't expect someone like you to have that in the first place.
Weakness is a choice.
Like, why do you think my VTuber videos did so well? Because I had emotional bitches that can't accept the fact that their favorite VTuber, to a certain extent, is doing something wrong and ruining the IP. Or more accurately, it is that they don't give a shit and they try to leech to the IP as much as possible and before sucking it dry and then completely abandoning it. It's just funny, when you debate against them, since they are just doing it in an emotional stance. Now, it makes me wonder if VTubers had any chance if they went against Shockwave. Funny enough, you can compare it with other things like addiction, Stockholm Syndrome, which is a pretty valid statement to make against these 40k fans. But the one gripe I have with new fans and old, they cling to 40k, where the new fans cling to 40k as this is the best thing that I've ever seen, and this is the only thing they know, so they're just gonna keep clinging into it. While the old fans cling to 40k and thinking by doing that, they will somehow convince GW to show that the real fans are there, and just holding on to the hope that the past experience they have can come again if they just hold it a little bit longer. Or someone called Arch just convince people that, being a fan or just, somehow, because you own some 40k models, you own the fucking company or the IP, and you have the say in the matter. Which kinda works for some things, but it doesn't work when it comes to 40k. Like, let's be honest, this is kinda sad, but it's also Stockholm Syndrome moment. Like, GW raises their prices, you don't leave. They make the models like, certain things. They blatantly tell you they're doing it for political reasons, and you're still there, sucking its dick. Can you get the fuck off it? Like, I personally know this from experience, and that was Overwatch 1. Waiting for 5 years for PvE to come along until they didn't.
Monsieur, does this mean Overwatch is back?
No.
Look, I am a very patient man, but sometimes it's better to have some alternatives and backups just in case the things you like isn't going the way you think it's going. And I know that happened with Call of Duty, Battlefield, Star Wars, and ironically, Doctor Who. Every franchise has an audience that only knows that IP, and if it goes down, then they will go down with it. Either thinking they are fighting the good fight, Janovich, or just thinking everything is fine. Varak, you know, I kinda spoiled it, but I'm gonna be nitpicky on this one. Janovich, no problems with the man, right? Other than just having this mentality of fighting the good fight for no fucking reason. Now, I understand, fans try to fight against like an IP to show the fans, don't want this and etc. But the problem is, this is a company like GW that has so much control over the IP, and you're just thinking you could just win the fight. The fuck is this? Like, are you just standing there like, oh, nah, I'd win. Trust me, you're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy! Like, it's literally putting a toddler fighting against Goku because somehow the child just beat cancer. Hey, it's me, Goku! I heard you beat cancer. Man, you must be really strong. And I think Janovich noticed that way too late on that, and I have many questions about him making stupid decisions. And that's why I mentioned gatekeeping in 40K isn't a thing. Because the only person that has such control is Games Workshop. You see, in general terms, when we think of gatekeeping, yes, it is good. But when it comes in a situation like 40K with Games Workshop, we're just, for the lack of better term, whacking their fucking noodle left, right, up, down, center where you don't have control yourself, where you can't stop it at all. What makes you think you'll do any better that you could gatekeep that? That motherfucker just opened the door and is just like, now it's time for an open relationship. You better hang that computer call. Because remember, in the end, Games Workshop is a public company that will please more on the shareholders than their customers. That is their focus. Thus, by you clinging to 40K and you trying to make the company to meet your demands, then GW will fight back and resist, and you're not making things any better. You're making an excuse for GW to continue on the path that they're going. And to the surprise of fucking no one, Games Workshop hates their customer base. Of course, of them trying to add, cultural war politics that they have blatantly been saying it, which they try really hard to shake the market in order to get rid of the audience that they don't like and add the ones that they like. But here's the thing. Ideally, when a customer isn't happy of the store or the product that they're perceiving, they just simply don't purchase from them and just look for another place to buy. But instead though, in this situation, they aren't happy with the store, but they still come over there and still buy their stuff whether directly or indirectly because they think they own 40K. Thanks, Arch! Fucking retard! Most importantly though, if you're doing things on 40K's terms, then you are supporting GW. Let me explain. Let's say you play 3rd edition on tabletop in a public space and someone sees the models and thinks they're neat, and then, you just question a little bit more and you're just getting into the lore and all that. You're indirectly supporting GW by letting that person to be curious enough, and there is a higher chance he will become the next 40K customer. If you are talking about the lore and how cool it is, and you get someone curious and then they become the next 40K customer and so on. Anything that involves of you playing on 40K's terms, then you are the very thing you swore to destroy, right? Just think about this. Word of mouth is a very powerful tool for many reasons if you haven't noticed. My easy solution to this is let the IP burn. You can just let it go away while you just play Helldivers, for example. Does this mean you have to get rid of everything you've collected about 40K and before to burn the bridge and all that? I wouldn't be that fucking dramatic, but I would say no. You see, you can preserve the time and fun you had with the hobby, or the game, or all the stuff that you had with it, and it's more of a memory you can cherish. Because the one thing that Games Workshop they cannot take away from you, it is the time you had in the past. So, the thing is though, you are clinging to a dead corpse that is the reason of what 40K has become. Just because you buy 40K models or you already had 40K models before, you somehow control the IP, which doesn't make fucking sense. Like you're the very problem you swore to destroy. Even if you don't buy models from GW and still play 40k tabletop in a public store, still, you are supporting 40k. Plus, talking about the lore in the positive light and saying it's cool and is also supporting 40k. Saying, you don't support 40k but you still play 40k tabletop, what does that tell you really? You are going on 40k's terms and supporting GW, and the whole rest of the drama that happened on and continually happened. And it's that essentially, 40k fans that knew it was wrong, but they still proceeded one way or another. That is why sometimes it is better to let go of things. And sure, I understand on an emotional level, if this is the first time that it's happening, it will be very difficult to get rid of. But know this, there's always some other things that will take its place. Like I said before, I used to play Overwatch. That was my main game. And there was other games before that, but whatever, I digress. And then I moved around on other games later on, and now I'm doing Ultra Kill, and before I go and continue playing like Serious Sam Siberian game. This is not new, I'm just telling you that. There's always other things you can try on. Things always come and go, like we had with COD and Battlefield. They used to be the biggest FPS games during the 2010s. And then around in 2020, we had Battle Royale games, which at some point, we're gonna have something else popular coming along. It's either a return of a franchise that knows how to make a good game, or a new beast that makes a new genre. And it always comes around. It's just like either they just sleep for a while and they always come back, or there's something completely new. And before you start accusing me, and I know this will happen because it did happen in my Discord more than once, and it is that of, Nellop is a 40k channel, so doesn't he indirectly support 40k? Well, that's one easy way to debunk it by dynamiting it in the water and slap you across the fucking room for being such a retard. The simple answer when it comes to this is no. You see, when it comes to my channel, I've always critiqued 40k and always looked for other alternatives to show the people that, hello, there's things you can look around for. 3D printing, the Forever Winter, Project Morningstar, which I did a recent video about, and fuck me, like even Helldivers 2. Look, I may say some positive stuff, but that's because it's credit where credit is due. But the major thing when it comes to me specifically saying is do not bother with 40k. It's already bad as it is, and if more people don't get into it, then it is the better. But then again, we had fucking Bricky and VTubers, so Then again, I won't see 40k will die anytime soon since you have 40k fans clinging to a dead franchise like they're doing something noble, whatever. And then also you have like a new fresh of audience coming in because as I said, Bricky. But instead, it has an opposite effect and causing Games Workshop to hate their fucking audience. Congrats! Instead of not giving a shit and letting the IP die, just how you can just simply ignore a woman, how shocking, and let something else to take its place, or, look for alternative games that you never knew that you might actually have fun with, before you just, hold on to it and let it run in more and more, and it's not even getting better anytime soon. You are ironically, and it's not just clinging to 40k, you've become a simp to 40k. Instead of just letting things go and look for other alternatives, you just sit there and suck his dick and fuck. Clinging to an IP would not get better, and Games Workshop would not play by your rules. Now, it comes to a realization of mine, I think this is more of people being fucking spineless. They just sit there and they're just like, please, Games Workshop. Like, this is ironically a dude who's trying to simp for a woman. Oh my god, this sounds very fucking familiar. You're trying to cling on something and you're hoping things will get better, and it's just no difference. You simp for a woman and you cling to that thinking that she will love you one way or another, which will never happen, and it's just, oh my god, it is exactly the same. Holy shit. I think I've said enough, and I'll leave this video. You can check me on my donations if you want to support me and my glorious channel, or you can check me on my socials, and if you're more curious, you can go and check out my Discord and check me out since, I'm pretty active there. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye, my brothers, and take care.